Okay, so Friday I took a new longest ride for myself, a double century, metric century, and as such you require certain equipment to be able to do such a thing. And so I figured I would list out everything that I took with me and share that with you guys so that folks can sort of have a better idea of what they might want to do for themselves. So first, I'm just going to go through my carbon racier bike, because hauling heavy steel surly around for 124 miles when you don't have to is not really a choice. And so that's why I brought a little under seat bag right here. I generally keep like wallet, green grooves type, very thin, fits very well. Don't have to worry about it. Keep in there my Park Tool multi-tool, which I've used since 2009, and it is just 2008, and has continued to work very, very well. It doesn't have any problems, but if anything did happen, it's sort of set up where you can just replace anything that came off or had a problem. So I would recommend that. Added bike shirts of your choice. I prefer bibs just because you don't have to worry about them sort of dangling low on your back or on your stomach. And you don't have the band constricting your stomach or your abdomen as well, which is nice. So, good pair of bike shorts, whatever you know you're comfortable with for that distance. Also, jersey, whichever type you like. I'd recommend having something the pockets are low enough in the back where you'd be able to reach into them easily while pedaling. So if you stuff one of them with food, you can just actually get into it relatively easily to eat. And I filled this leftmost pocket with baked goldfish for the ride, and replenished that multiple times. Of course, keys. That went into the Camelback backpack, which I'll grab and show you guys in a second. Of course, my sunglasses with my take-a-look mirror, both of which I've given, well, the take-a-look mirror I've given a review of, and glasses are relatively standard performance bike wear. My helmet with double rim, so I don't have to worry about sun as much. I didn't put on sunscreen before I left the house, and it was a partly sunny day, so this kept me from having to worry about applying sunscreen and then reapplying sunscreen and then reapplying sunscreen, because the ride took 10 hours. Well, I was out for 10 hours. So during that time, I would have needed to reapply multiple times, and this helped me from having to worry about that. And I have my XP2 bike light that I always, headlamp that I always keep on here pretty much year-round, and trusty bike helmet, size large for my large head. And of course, good bike gloves, something that has padding on this part of the hand and on this part of the hand as well, because if you're resting on this part of your hand for all day, like for one day it's not going to be a big deal, but if you're having it happen for an extended period of time, these fingers are going to start going numb. I've experienced that from bike touring on the C&O and Gap Trail before. These fingers were a little bit off for about, numbness-wise, in the tips for about a month afterwards. So gloves are important, and they also keep you from sloughing off skin if you have an accident, or keep the injuries from being quite as bad. When I meet people that don't ride with them, it essentially, second to a helmet, this is the most important thing. You could go shirtless and be wearing your gloves, and I won't get, it won't be something that matters to me. Yeah. Helmet, gloves, shirt, distant third. And for protecting your feet, find something that works well for you for socks that aren't going to cause you irritation. I found that I really like these Injinji toe socks for that purpose, because They provide a little bit of protection between the toes, so you're not going to have blisters coming up between your toes. And they just sort of help with interaction with the surface of the shoe, as far as I can tell. For my shoes, I wore clipless pedals. I've had these for years, but I think it might be time to start retiring them because they've started having, well, they've had these for a while, but they're starting to irritate me on these longer rides. These divots right here in the front. So it'll just be another figuring out a good option for that kind of thing in the future. So that'll be what I do next as far as that goes. And these are a very important piece of equipment that I will be reviewing in a bit. But overall, essentially, sun protection. Overall, everywhere. These are leg covers. For me, they run down from mid-thigh, underneath the bike shorts, all the way down to the, depending on how they're working, all the way down to ankle, sock line. And they're UPF 40, I believe, 30 or 40. I've never had to worry about sunscreen with these, which of course is another great thing. The less you have to worry about sunscreen and carrying it and reapplying it, the better. It's just going to make your day in life much easier. This one's, and they're marked right and left, like they're made for one side versus the other. And lucky enough for me, this one's got me permanently marked because my right leg just bumps against my chain more often. It's just the way that I ride and what it does. And these are Perlazumi brand covers, and these were all this was pristinely white when I first got it, and I took these on my bike trip, 27 days going cross country, and they worked very well. They were a great choice. Same kind of thing, Perlazumi arm covers, sun protection, keep you a little bit cooler. It's a very good choice for any kind of warmer weather. And this is Pace Sportswear head cover that works very well. I keep my hair shorter, and even without that, there's spots under my helmet that sun will come through. And this makes it so that I don't have burnt scalp. And I've ridden without this on before for a long period. And the sun will get you. It's just unfortunate and frustrating. And of course, 2 bike bottles. I wanted to get larger ones than these. These are 750 milliliters as far as I remember. And they're a little bit small for what I like, just because it's easier to carry a bigger bottle than to carry like more containers. Of course, an MP3 player with earbud. I never put both earbuds in ever anywhere that I ever ride, because you always want to be able to hear behind you as well as see behind you. And this helps keep sanity as well, because just riding, pedaling along all day can get boring if you don't have any kind of way of helping it. And I went down the WNOD trail when I did this, and that was, it's a great trail up in Washington, D.C. area that it's 45 miles from downtown Washington, D.C. all the way to Purcellville, Virginia, and you can go all the way down, all the way back, and I made a distance for 124 miles by going part way back on my way back home for 12 miles, and then kept going the rest of the way. I realized after I started that I forgot the Camelback that I wore, so I'm just going to grab that and talk about what was in there. Okay, so this is the Camelback I wore. It's a Field & Stream model that I got from my father-in-law. But essentially anything that you see that looks about this size, this fits a 2-liter bladder. I didn't take that with me because there's enough water stops in the WNOD that I didn't have to worry about it. But essentially, this is where I kept my wallet, keys, and two $20 bills for cash just in case. Kept that in this little pocket. In here I kept a pound of cheese and a sleeve of Ritz crackers to have as a quick 15-20 minute lunch during the middle of my day. And in here, I kept a large Ziploc of baked goldfish, in this big pocket here, of baked goldfish. And in here, I kept a smaller, like, sandwich baggie of M&Ms. And essentially from this pocket of goldfish, I would just resupply the pocket that was in my leftmost jersey pocket, and that worked all day. Essentially, you just have to find a way in order to keep getting enough calories to keep from hitting a wall, and be able to do it just continually on the fly. And every time I resupplied my jersey pocket, I think I did it twice. I think the same number of times as I got put new water in to my bottles, and I was continually eating from them. I was making sure to. The M&M, like essentially and the funny thing to think about for nutrition, like you don't have to eat baked goldfish, but the funny thing about nutrition that I learned from my bike trips is that essentially the kinds of things you think about for nutrition are very different when you're trying to just keep fueled correctly on the bike. At least for me. Everybody's mileage varies. Something might work better for you than for me, or differently. For me, essentially, if it was a 1 to 2 ratio of fats to carbohydrates, then the food was going to work pretty well. Like Cheetos, like it hits that number really well. Baked goldfish, a lot of different, like Doritos to a certain extent. It doesn't have quite as much fat content, but and that gives you long energy to last off of, and shorter energy to last off of. You don't want anything that's pure sugar though, because you're just gonna, like, yeah, you wouldn't want to just take M&Ms doing something long like this, because then you're gonna run out of energy because your body's just gonna burn through that sugar instantly, or try to get rid of it somehow, and you're gonna just crash like 15 minutes later anyway. And yeah, and it's relatively straightforward. Like if I was going longer someplace without water, then this would have been had a 2-liter in here as well. This wasn't stuffed as it was. The cheese and crackers, like that's a combination I've come to be very happy with over time. If you're traveling and you're trying, and you know that your stomach shrinks when you're working out, and you're having a harder time getting enough calories, the trick that I found for that is like at a convenience store, quickly buy something like milk. Like a quart of milk, it's good, like a half gallon of milk. You can down it relatively quickly within like 20 minutes and not like make yourself sick. And and it's going to have 800 calories. It's going to have carbohydrates. It's going to have simple sugars and complex ones, and it's going to have fats, all of which you're going to be working off of, and it works very well. And it's not going to, you can drink it when you're feeling full otherwise. Like your body can ingest it. That's the important thing if you're struggling to get enough calories in for your time. Thankfully, when you're going long like this, like my speed average, including brakes, was like 12.4 miles per hour or something. You know, not anything to brag about, but going at that speed, I didn't get sick from eating. Which, if you eating the way that I did, like a pound of cheese, like I didn't eat the entire pound of cheese. It was like I ate like half. It was like what felt acceptable for my body to accept while taking a quick 15-20 minute lunch break. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Like I hope that's helpful for people who are trying to plan out, say, century rides or other longer rides like that. Practicing, like I'm trying to work up to randonneuring, and that's something I'm going to have to be thinking about as time goes on. So, as always, if you have any questions or comments or things you want to talk to me about, just leave a reply, and thanks for your time.